hikers, welcome back to African Hiker. If it's your first time here, hi, I'm Anita. In this video, I will be giving you a rundown of the AMATOLA hiking trail in the Eastern Cape, South Africa. The first thing I want to say about the AMATOLA is that it is difficult. It is a difficult hike. And no, not difficult for a hatted trail, it is difficult full stop. Majority of the time I do wilderness hike, so by default I tend to think that trails, or that hikes with trails and huts are easy. Sorry, lesson learned. Before I get into the day-by-day breakdown, I'm just going to tell you a few things that apply to each day. First, start early. On all the days, excluding the first one, we hiked between 7 and 9 hours. It is recommended to start at around 5 or 6 a.m. We started at 7 a.m., 7:30. Let's just say as long as we left the hut before 8, we were fine. Number 2, it rains. If you do this hike between spring and summer, be ready for wet conditions. And I say wet conditions because the vegetation is so tall and thick that it ends up soaking you, more so than actual rain from the sky. We had 4 days of wet weather. Only one was proper rain and the other 3 were like cloudy, drizzly, and like with snippets of sunshine here and there. Barely on 2 of them. We hardly saw the sun. 3, you go up and down and up and down and up and down the whole time. Every single day, every single minute, like you're just climbing up to go down. 4, the trail is well marked and easy to follow, so chances of you getting lost out there are very slim. However, it has happened. People always find ways to get lost. Another thing about the trail, Dan, the guy who's like organizing it all, there's network on the trail, so you can always contact him and let him know where you are. So if anything were to happen, or if you get lost, or if you somehow lose the trail, there's signal, you're not stranded out there. And 5, the hut signs are liars. Liars, complete liars. I don't know why they did it like this, but the sign for the hut is so far from the actual hut. Like you'll see the sign and think that you've only got like a kilometer or 2 to go, but you still have to walk 10,000 kilometers before you actually get to the hut. It's frustrating. But before I get ahead of myself, Day 1, Maiden Dam to Gwili Gwili Hut. We hiked 15 kilometers, climbed 772 meters, and spent 5 hours on the trail. Excitement was in the air. Look how happy we were. The weather is great and all is well. Dan dropped us off at the start of the trail and we began our hike at about 9:30. The hike begins in the forest and soon we were walking alongside a river. It starts off fairly easy, with the biggest burden being the humidity. After about 5 kilometers, the hills become more noticeable, but we're on fresh legs, so everything was fine. We reached Gwili Gwili Hut at about 2:30. This hut was the one that I enjoyed the most because it basically had an outdoor kitchen equipped with a counter space for food preparation, a seating area, and an oven. Okay, not really an oven, but we gave the donkey dual purpose. Eventually, the showers had hot water. The donkey takes some time to heat it up. Day 2, Gwili Gwili to Donsa Hut. We hiked 19.6 kilometers, climbed 563 meters, and were on the trail for 8 hours. On day 1, I only carried 1 liter of water because my bag was a bit on the heavy side. I refilled in the river as I needed. For day 2, however, you must carry all the water you need for the hike because there isn't anywhere that you can refill on the trail. I carried 2.75 liters. On this day, we went through indigenous forests as well as some pine plantations. You go down quite a lot. I don't remember any strenuous climbs for day 2, it is mainly just long. The hut is a little bit confusing to find. When you see the sign, know that the hut is behind it. It is just not visible through the dense forest. Here you have 2 options. Walk through the forest and you'll be met by a wooden path to the hut, or follow the road up, then to the right. You'll see the hut on your right hand side. We reached the hut at roughly 4 p.m. This was my least favorite hut, but don't get me wrong, the hut itself was decent. All the huts are in good condition and the mattresses too. But in regards to how user-friendly I found it, and the fact that it was raining didn't help the situation. And the shower, oh my gosh, the shower. I actually showered with the door open because I was too scared to close myself in there. I don't want to be trapped in that shower. The only thing this hut had going for it was that the shower had a strong flow of like hot water. So as long as I kept my eyes closed while standing in there, it was heavenly. Day 3. Donsa Hut to Kata Hut. We hiked 18.9 kilometers, climbed 847 meters, and were on the trail for 8 hours. We woke up to the sound of rain. It had rained throughout the night. We started hiking at about 7 a.m. and were pleased to discover that at that point it was just drizzling. Day 3 is when the climbs really begin. Super steep and show no signs of easing up. In addition to that, the wetness made each step very challenging. In spite of this, day 3 was my favorite. There were no views and I was completely soaked and my shoes were just barely hanging on. But it was a good day. It was beautiful and intimate. Kata Hut's best feature is the room with the fireplace in it. Oh my gosh, after hiking in the rain, it was such a delight to stand by the fire and just like dry off and warm up. So grateful to have had that there on that evening. Day 4. Kata Hut to Mnyameni Hut. We hiked 13.5 kilometers, climbed 611 meters, and were on the trail for 7 hours. As you leave the hut, you start trekking up and up. It is steep and you can see a mountain ahead of you. Behind you, you see Kata Hut getting smaller and smaller. Jeju Peak is the highest on the AMATOLA Trail at 1,880 meters. At one stage you will reach a flat rock marking a split, left arrow to the peak and right arrow to the shortcut. My group decided that since the clouds had rolled in again, that there would be no need to go to the peak because there would be no view. It's a logical conclusion, but honestly, I was just too tired to climb things that I didn't have to climb. Once over the ridge, the trail ventures downhill. Then we reach the meteorite. At first I used my hiking pole for assistance to get across, but I quickly realized that I balanced better without it. Then I merrily skipped from boulder to boulder. We continued zigzagging down the mountain and into the valley. We were rewarded with stunning waterfalls and multiple river crossings. Mnyameni Hut gave off serious homesteading vibes. I could easily picture growing vegetables here and raising some livestock deep in the folds of the AMATOLA mountain range. The hut didn't have running water, but fortunately, we had an engineer and handyman in our group, and they managed to get water running to the toilet and to one of the taps. There was no hope for the shower, so the boys bathed in the river and us ladies opted for a pot bath. Day 5. Mnyameni to Zinkuka Hut. We hiked 18.2 kilometers, climbed 843 meters, and were on the trail for 8.5 hours. This day was so pretty, such vast changes in scenery, and we even got to see blue sky and the sun. One of the common traits of the AMATOLA hiking trail is that it is narrow and is often right on the edge of a sheer drop. I know I said this already when recalling day 3, but day 5 is also my favorite. What really topped it off was arriving at the hut. I don't want to say too much because I would like you to experience the awe of that moment for yourself. Zimpuga Hut had 2 rooms, one of which felt eerie, so we all wanted to sleep in the other. But then some moved to the eerie room in order to get away from the snorer. This was also the only hut where I did not use the toilet. It was a long drop, and that was fine, but the drop wasn't long enough. On top of that, the hole in the box, dressed up with a toilet seat, was too far back, and that was awkward. Ultimately, it was a giant spider that finalized my decision. The vibe here was like grade 8 camp, nestled in the woods with the moon shining brightly. It's the perfect setting to stay up late discussing vast unknowns and having parts of you reveal themselves to you. Day 6, Zimpuga Hut to Hogsback. We hiked 26 kilometers, climbed 1,117 meters, and were on the trail for 8.5 hours. We were excited to be setting off on our last day. The trail was pleasant for most of the morning. When we reached the foot of Hog 1, the trail inclined and the sun overcompensated for all the days it had been behind the clouds. Finding the trail to go up Hog 1 was a bit tricky. We had followed the path to the dirt road, then went left when we were supposed to go to the right, and then left into the bushes and up the mountain. The climb to the top was hellish, but once we were there, we soon forgot all it put us through and were just mesmerized by the amazing views. Lunch on the top was absolutely blissful. Afterwards, we headed down towards Hogsback. We walked along the ridge of Hog 1, then through the pine trees and into the forest. Quite suddenly, we reach a sign telling us that we have done 100 kilometers in 6 days, South Africa's toughest hike. But we were not done yet. There is the AMATOLA Plus. You don't know about the AMATOLA Plus? Here's what it is. The AMATOLA finishes on a road that will eventually take you to Hogsback. It is about 3 kilometers to the village. You can hitch a ride or arrange a lift or walk or do the AMATOLA Plus. For the AMATOLA Plus, instead of walking back on the road, you go down into the forest and follow a day hike route to await with the ferries. This route goes via the big tree. We decided to do the AMATOLA Plus. Frankly, I didn't really want to walk any further, but I also didn't want to be the only one in the group who didn't. So I soldiered on. And those last Ks, oh, they were literally the worst part of the whole hike.
Day 7 of the AMATOLA Trail. Just kidding, no hiking boots here. We're heading to the beach.
So there you have it, day 1 to 6 of the AMATOLA and the AMATOLA Plus. As you can see, we had a really great time on the AMATOLA hiking trail. I highly recommend it, and it's true what they say, it may very well be the toughest hike in South Africa. If there's anything else you'd like to know about the AMATOLA hiking trail, then please let me know in the comments below. And what else? We'll see y'all later. Bye.